US President Donald Trump toured a 13-year-old Boeing 747-8 on February 15, 2025. As the newly re-elected president, he is pushing to replace the current pair of VC-25As with newer models ahead of their extensively delayed delivery schedule. With Boeing's current projections, Trump would not get to fly on board the jet as president, as the VC-25Bs are due after the end of his term. The airplane Trump visited at the Royal Beach International Airport is a 13-year-old airframe formerly owned by Qatar's royal family, according to a report by Reuters. Commenting on the president's recent tour, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said, President Trump is touring a new Boeing plane to check out the new hardware/technology. This highlights the project's failure to deliver a new Air Force One on time as promised. Media reports indicate that the president toured the 747 to draw attention to the ongoing delays in Air Force One deliveries. During his first presidential term from
Here we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. My co-host Eileen Delrossi is en route, and we have our producer John McDonough. John, take a bow.
Good
There you
morning,
go.
everybody. It's 18 degrees outside, and the wind is whipping. So you
But-
want to drive little Cliff, a little Eileen to school today.
So, life's a lot better than the Belvedere. It was 22. But it's going to get warm here in a little bit, right?
Supposed to warm up to like 40s over the next 7 days. So that'd be nice to get rid of, first day it's 40, open all your windows, get rid of all this winter air. Clean out your house of all the air you possibly can, would be my suggestion.
So, in 1804, the first self-propelled steam locomotive makes its outing at the Penydarren Iron Works in Wales. So, I think that's one of my relatives. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of the residuals. 1848, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels published the Communist Manifesto, and life has been downhill ever since.
Cliff, did you see how ugly this sucker is? The first steam locomotive?
Yeah,
I expected with the big long thing with the big wheels. No, it's primitive.
yeah.
And this guy, look at Richard Thevethick. Now, Richard,
George Stephenson did the original.
well, these liars are indicating otherwise. You can buy this for $32.
There you go.
Or, who's the next character you want to talk about?
Oh, we talked about Karl Marx and Frederick Engels.
Karl Marx. K-A-R-L-X. What's that dude look like? Well,
That's what he looks like, yep.
was he related to the Gillette family?
To the what family?
The Gillette family. You know, they make razors?
No.
Okay. Looks like he's fallen away from the family. Okay, next on the hit parade,
He's, Frederick Engels.
Fred. F-R-E-D-E-R-I-C-K-I-N-G-L-E-S.
No, E-N-G-E-L-S.
Another member of the anti-Gillette family.
I have no idea.
Oh, here comes the princess now.
Well, that's good.
Good morning, princess.
In 1878, the first telephone directory was issued in New Haven, Connecticut. And now you can't get a telephone directory.
Don't need it anymore.
Believe it or not, 1885, the newly completed Washington Monument was dedicated. You can tell that it went in phases because the stones are not all the same color. So they came from different
The
places.
Washington Monument.
Yeah.
I always thought that was the lowest bidder. I never knew the stones came from different parts of the country.
Yeah.
There's the first telephone directory.
That was a good thing.
Wonder if there's
Okay.
any numbers you can call people up. No. First phone book. There's just names, there's no numbers.
At least you knew who had a phone. The operator is
Oh, what I got
there.
here?
From Tennessee. I'll tell you more about it.
Wow. Check
The
out,
operator was there to get you connected.
check out this stuff. Eileen just went to, I'll fix this. Eileen's got this. Hillary played the woman's card. Obama played the race card. Harris played the dumb card. America played the Trump card. That's cute. And then we have Trump money. And I gotta adjust the, and then I got a $10 bill from Eileen. Thank you. Oh, a donut too. Thank you. Back over to Cliff. Sorry, Cliff. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of administrivia going on right now.
I just wanted to get this all out.
The donuts.
Okay.
I don't trust myself to not forget.
In 1916, in World War I, the Battle of Verdun begins. The French had over 300,000 casualties, including 143,000 dead. Germans had, could have been up to 400,000 casualties, 163,000 dead. And they accomplished basically nothing. It was a terrible, terrible experience
Where is Verdun?
in France, the
Okay.
eastern part of France,
And
near Luxembourg.
the country that these soldiers were from, what countries were they from?
France, that's the French casualties, and Germany, that's the German casualties.
France and Germany.
Yeah,
How did the Germans get all the way to France?
marched. The
It's
Schlieffen
kind of like
Plan.
Mexico, they all the countries let them pass through.
The Germans had the Schlieffen Plan, and it did a good job of cutting deep into France.
But still, they had to cut through different countries. How did they get through the other countries? Did they already conquer them? Germany?
They conquered Belgium, but that's the only other country they had to go through.
I got you. Thank you.
All right. In 1925, the New Yorker publishes its first issue. So they're celebrating their 100th anniversary.
What was their first issue?
What do you mean, what was their first issue? It was a magazine.
It's coming up.
Issue?
What?
It's coming.
I was trying to be funny. Obviously, it failed.
I got it.
There's the New Yorker, the first issue. Guy with the top hat.
I got it. All right. In 1945, I thought this was interesting. In World War II, the Brazilian Expeditionary Force defeated the German forces in the Battle of Monte Castello on the Italian front. So the Brazilians were in and participated in World War II. They also had Air Force squadrons. In 1952, the British government under Winston Churchill abolishes identity cards in the UK to set the people free. Well, it isn't that way today, is it?
You need a passport.
Inside England?
To leave any country, you need a passport.
Yeah.
That's where the government's got you.
1994, Aldrich James was arrested by the FBI for selling national secrets to the Soviet Union. Yeah. I worked with someone,
Who's this person?
Aldrich James. I worked with someone who would accuse anyone in the management who was being difficult of being Aldrich James.
Senator James Eldridge?
No, Aldrich Ames.
Aldridge Ames. Oh, my God.
AMES.
Spell the first name.
ALDRICH.
Here he is.
So while John's looking, 1995, Steve Fawcett landed in Leader, Saskatchewan, Canada.
Did they kill this guy?
Excuse me, let me finish the sentence.
Okay.
The first person to make a solo flight across the Pacific in a balloon, paving the way for the Chinese.
Is this the Aldridge Ames guy?
Yeah, I think it is.
He did the balloon?
No, that was Steve Fawcett.
Well, we're supposed to, I'm trying to keep up with you, Cliff. So what is this guy Aldridge James famous for? Selling secrets?
Selling secrets to the Russians.
He was a commie.
Communist.
So who's the next character after Aldrich?
Steve Fawcett.
Here he is, Stevie baby. Oh, he looks like a NASA pilot or something. What'd he do?
First person to cross the Pacific in a balloon.
It looks like he had a plane though.
That was later, when he flew around the world.
I'll put balloon after it. There it is. Oh, I remember seeing this on TV.
What's another word for a hot air balloon? Is it Zeppelin?
Zeppelin?
Zeppelin. I was working with my kindergartners
They
and
had hydrogen. It wasn't hot air.
okay, there was like a hot air balloon, and I was like, "There's no H, there's no B, what is it?" But there's a Z, and one of the older substitutes was in there. I said, "That's a Zeppelin."
Well, my takeaway from that was the Germans did not have helium. They only had hydrogen, which is highly explosive. That's why it blew up.
The Hindenburg, Lakehurst, New Jersey.
The olden days.
Yeah, I was coming here to get helium. So, in 1621, Rebecca Nurse was born. She was a Massachusetts colonist, I think a mother of 8 children. She was executed as a witch, dying in 1692.
What's her last name?
Nurse.
Nurse.
And
There's the best picture of her right here. If it'll blow up a little bit. That's the best picture of her. They decided she was a witch.
It's only us,
she looks exactly
so it
like
looks like I'm the
Eileen.
witch.
Sorry. I can press the button a few more times. There you go. There's the witch.
Oh, she looks holy.
Yeah.
She looks like a nun. And they executed her? That's like sacrilegious.
We had a bad spell here in Massachusetts.
We're having another one. Where did you get your gas bill? Another bad spell.
Okay.
I have a perfect sticker for that too. I'm donating it to this table.
Oh, I can zoom in on that puppy. Hold that shot there. I'll take off the graphics. We'll zoom in. Don't move.
This gasoline self-serve. Regular, an arm for 1/10 of a gallon. Plus, leg for 1/10 of a gallon. Supreme, both arm and leg, 9/10. And diesel, number 2, kids.
Thank you, Donald Trump.
Why are you thanking Donald Trump?
Well, if it was last month, I'd be thanking Joe Biden. I'm sorry, if it was 2 months ago, I'd be thanking Joe Biden. So it's Trump's turn.
I'm sorry, a month ago.
Thank you for the correction. I know that it's one of your hobbies.
No, you're just picking on Donald Trump.
Hey, 2 months ago, I
Mindlessly.
would have. 2 months ago, I would have blamed Joe Biden. That's a fact.
Okay,
Who's the president today?
today is Donald Trump.
Okay, now
Unless you're a Democrat, in which case it's
Who's-
Elon Musk.
whose fault is it that the gasoline prices are high? It's Trump's fault. He's the head guy.
I think that that's bad thinking.
Well, you didn't. When I said it was Joe Biden's fault 2 months ago, was that bad thinking as well?
Yeah, he's been there for almost 4 years.
No, that wasn't a question. You're dancing around it.
What's the question then?
Was that bad thinking 2 months ago when I said the high gas prices were Joe Biden's fault?
No, it wasn't bad thinking.
He has Cliff. You should have a red tie on.
He needs a theory, Cliffism, like Marxism, Cliffisms.
How quickly do you think
Kriegerisms.
a president can change the price of gas?
Well, the
Wicked
sooner,
quickly. All he has to say is, "I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. I'm going to send regulators to the corporate offices of Exxon, unless I see a 50-cent drop in gasoline by Monday. And bam, that'll happen.
Right before Exxon goes out of business. In which case,
Cliff,
gas
they're not
doesn't cost
they're
you
not-
anything.
They're not going out of business. They're not going. Cliff, they suck it out of the ground. The product they suck out of the ground doesn't cost them a red cent. The machinery, the manpower that moves the product around is what costs the money. And how much do you think the boss at ExxonMobil made last year?
couple of $1 million.
Only a couple. Ah, okay. I'll go ask
That'd be good.
Google.
Well, I'd appreciate it if the prices went down sooner than later, personally, from
Yeah.
my P-point
I would too. So, in 1801, John Henry Newman, English cardinal, was born. He started out Church of England and switched over to the Catholic
Look how
Church.
crooked Google is. Okay, I ask about ExxonMobil, and they give me Elon Musk. He makes $23 billion per year.
Elon?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys aren't seeing this. It's a little stubborn today. Highest paid CEOs 2024.
Okay.
Here we go. $198 million. John Rinkenfield. Now, Eileen, there is a husband for you.
Winkerfield.
Yeah.
All
Look
right.
that dude up. And
How much?
198 million.
All right. What's the ticker? Is that how long her ticker's gonna last? Ticker?
These are
See.
the CEO's names, and this is the company's names.
Oh, see to the far left where it says ticker? That would help me to know how long their ticker will last.
No, that's on the stock market. Their nickname on the stock market.
Oh, okay. All right.
Some pretty good dough. The guy who runs Lyft, 78 million.
We're not seeing the amounts over here. We're only seeing the year.
Let me shrink this puppy down some more then.
Okay, there they are.
Can you see them? They're awful small.
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay. So,
In 1910, Douglas Bader was born, a English fighter pilot in World War II. I think the most memorable thing is he was an ace, shot down a lot of airplanes, and then he got shot down, was in a POW camp, and the British found out what camp he was in and flew over and dropped a pair of artificial legs for him because he'd been doing all that flying with no legs.
That was nice.
So, and in 1986, Charlotte Church was born. And in 1974, Tim Horton passed away.
the donut guy,
Well, I don't think of him as a donut guy, but yes,
the
exactly.
Canadian donut guy. The Canadian donut. Delicious donuts, delicious coffee. Tim Hortons coffee. Delicious.
Yes. He was born back in the 1930s. He's also a hockey player.
Everybody in Canada plays hockey. In fact, I detected a little glee from Channel 5 this morning that the Canadians beat the Americans.
Oh, yeah, I did see that this
A
morning.
little glee. And it's like, and then I turned on Al Jazeera. Second news story was Canada beats America. Second news story on Al Jazeera.
And how do you explain the glee on the part of Channel 5?
They seemed pretty happy that Canada beat the USA. That was my takeaway.
Let me rephrase my question. What would cause the people in Channel 5 to have glee that their fellow countrymen got beat?
Okay, here's glee. Canada beat the United States.
And they show all happy Canadians and not sad Americans that they lost.
That's glee.
Yeah, I got that.
Well, you asked the question, I tried to
Do
give
you
the
really
answer.
get that? I feel like you're not
But
getting it.
I'm asking for what was the subtle psychological issue down in Channel 5 that they were happy that the Canadians won?
Let me just give you a couple little, Cliff, you're an old buckaroo, a little old buckaroo than I am. Democrats do not wear ties on television. You're gonna see, that's just a dead giveaway. The guy is a Democrat. When you have a news channel in Boston that's celebrating that Canada beat the United States in Boston, I've never seen such a thing in my lifetime. And it has to do with politics. So that's just my takeaway. Eileen, what's your takeaway?
Well, I'm wondering if Mr. Grimes, who's the WCVB, or the co-founder, Leo Beranek, are Canadian. That is what I'm thinking as well.
I think it's purely political. Cliff, you didn't see it, so we won't, you're not allowed to participate. So you can ask questions, but sorry.
So Eileen, how was your trip?
It was really, really nice. I'm very impressed with Tennessee. You know, we could tell, like, just from the plane, getting on the plane, like, people were just kinder, nicer, like, I don't know. And there's something serene and very peaceful about Tennessee, I feel like. We went, we stayed at a nice resort, the Westgate Lake, where we usually stay in Florida. They also have one in Tennessee. We went to Gatlinburg, which was beautiful. We went
Drive
up,
or fly?
we flew.
What airline?
Allegiance.
Oh, how'd you like it?
It was
That's the
interesting.
new El Cheapo.
Yeah, well, it's like you pay for the El Cheapo-ness, because apparently on Sunday we could not get de-iced where all the bigger planes were getting de-iced. Like,
You didn't have enough quarters for the machine.
we didn't have enough. That's a perfect way to put it. And so we got to the runway where we were supposed to take off, and then they realized they weren't going to let us because we did not have enough quarters for the machine. And so then we had to go back to the gate. So we were on the plane for like 2.5 hours on top of
Now, did
the
you
flight.
get de-iced at the gate?
We had to go back to the gate and get de-iced. But you would think, like, you wouldn't leave your house with your car not cleaned off. Why would we, if we had to do that, why would we leave the gate where we hope?
I gotta ask my daughter-in-law, because she works for JetBlue. We missed a cruise once because we had to get de-iced. We get up to the runway, we're all ready to go. We're number 3, and the pilot says we have to go back and get de-iced.
And that was on JetBlue?
I'm pretty sure it was.
That's interesting,
'Cause
because
it seems to me like it's just a matter of, they're all on the clock.
yeah.
So that put us an hour delay. We missed the boat.
That's
Yep.
oh. Well, I mean, luckily we didn't have to be anywhere. But then coming home too, yesterday morning, they're like, sorry, because Tennessee was getting some serious weather too. I guess Sunday before we got there, they got a tornado, and it blew the roof, parts of the roof off the water park, and then so the water park was closed Monday, Tuesday that we were there, and so. Anyways, they got snow Tuesday night and then Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and I guess people don't, I know people don't rush and are very happy and slow-paced in Tennessee. John, you're giving yourself a close-up facial there.
Oh, you know what happened? I didn't press the right button. Let's go back to you guys. It's Friday.
So one of the flight attendants
My mouth
called
needs a
in
new battery.
sick yesterday morning, or couldn't get there because they couldn't get off the mountain that they lived in, which, so we were delayed an hour till they got a substitute flight attendant.
The de-icing is important. A catchphrase in the aviation dodge is, if you're flying with ice on the wing, you're a test pilot because you're flying a configuration that's never been seen before.
Yeah, well, that's, I think, the theory. We were just all grateful to get de-iced. Better safe
Yeah.
than sorry, right?
Yeah. So, so you were traveling, you were sick as a dog on Friday.
Yes.
Did that clear up on Saturday?
No, I had no voice until about Sunday into after the first night in Tennessee, like slept so good after a long, crazy, hectic day, and I feel like it started clearing up more on Monday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you capture any lessons from being down there that you could apply to Lowell about entertaining people, attracting people in to spend money?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like not much was, I mean, everything cost money, but nothing was exorbitantly expensive, I don't feel like. And I feel like Southern hospitality is definitely a real thing. Like, no matter what, they got you. Don't worry.
Give me an example
Everyone-
of Southern hospitality.
Okay, so the Sunday we got in, my son orders this Nashville hot chicken, but apparently he wanted just chicken tenders that he can get at Dave's Hot Chicken. So it comes in a sandwich form. He was like, I didn't know it came like this, but the waiter was like right on top of it. He's like, what are you looking for, buddy? And he explained to him, and he just took it right back and was like, here you go. I mean, and everywhere we went, even up to like, Anthony's always hungry right when we get to a restaurant, and sometimes I need a minute to look, and Anthony would be like, can I please order my meal now? And they'd be like, sure, baby, what do you want? You know what I mean? And I think the best thing somebody said is that it was an Uber, and she goes, you know what, the best thing about around here is that people, they have nothing. Most of them don't even have teeth, but they're the happiest people in the world. It was just kind of true to like everything that we saw.
What was the weather
too.
like? How hot, cold?
It was cold. It was chilly, but not icy in what we get here with the nor'easters. But it was beautiful. You can tell like people are just content with what they have. Even there were bears up there. We had to be careful for black bears. But we didn't see any bears. The shuttle drivers, all that we had that would take us down the mountain to the lobby and to the water park, they were all very nice. All of them. Even the little lobby store that had a little Starbucks inside of it, they liked Anthony and would check in, like would go there in the morning and get a coffee, and then would go back at night so he could get a snack. They're like, did you like your coffee? Do you want to try different milks? You know what I mean? They let him try the almond milk, the oat milk, the regular milk. I mean, it was just, people just really wanted to make you happy. One of the guys on the shuttle, we said, you know, everybody is just so nice here. And he's like, yeah, well, they better be. And when my son would mock their accent, I'd be like, Anthony.
They can't tell.
No, they can't. I noticed that.
When you're mocking their accent, you sound just like them. Doesn't bother them at all.
Well, I picked it up right away, and I was mortified. And I said something, but they don't.
But I find when you travel, if you go to a small town, and people know you from not around town, they love you.
Yeah, and you know what? The other thing was, we'll just Uber, because I heard about the driving in Tennessee, how it's windy, and there are like big ditches, and I thought of renting a car, but I have an astigmatism, and I'm crooked all the time anyway, so I was like, I don't want to go off on a ditch, so we figured we'd just Uber. But realizing that the Ubers don't run really there, and it's off season to boot there, so it would be a while for the Ubers. So we learned a lot of patience. And even this one lady we had met, the one who told me about most people not having the teeth and just being so happy, she had given us her phone number, and she was like, if you get stuck or anything, just call me. And she really did. I mean, that later that afternoon when we were in Gatlinburg and we were exhausted just from the day, and the Ubers kept canceling on us. We called her, and she came and she got us with her grandson.
How do you know they canceled? Did it come back on your phone?
Yeah, and then they kept giving me a $5 Uber credit. Yeah, it would tell me. Like, it was like this guy, Joe, kept accepting the ride and then kept canceling and accepting, canceling. And then I'd keep getting an Uber credit. And I was just like...
That
but
stinks.
when you get an exhausted kid, like, none of that... I mean, I was happy to get a credit, but, I mean, an exhausted, burnt-out
Yes.
kid, no.
So, are you going to participate in the Winterfest this weekend? You going to take Anthony down?
Maybe, yeah.
So it starts this afternoon,
Okay.
runs in the evening, then it starts tomorrow.
No human dog sled races?
Apparently not,
Okay.
but they're still having the soup contest.
Soup
and-
Bowl competition.
and,
Now, is it back downtown? Because I felt like it was so unnatural when it was the Lowell Memorial Auditorium area, or is it in the same area?
I think it's downtown. Isn't, isn't Winterfest back downtown?
I have not been paying attention, but I'm going to depend on the little son to have me, give me something, and then I'll go look at Facebook.
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
was during COVID that they in 2022, that they kind of shifted it around the Lowell Memorial Auditorium area, but
So, well, John's looking up Winterfest, which is this weekend. What's the story with Karen Reed? There was a little activity this week.
oh, yes, a quite interesting activity. So all I know is we were out of McAllister's in Tennessee, and I was watching it, and I watched Judge Bev, Hank Brennan said this part about the ARCA experts not having reciprocal discovery with the defense and the prosecution and so forth, and then Bev immediately went for a recess and came back a half an hour later and said, due to this information that she had just learned from Hank Brennan, she's stopping the whole entire court session that day, which they had tons of motions to still get through because they want to go ahead and have this trial on April 1st, no matter what. So then Judge Bev comes back, and, there were so many things going through my mind that could have been happening, but when Judge Bev gets back, I was like, no way, that defense did not hand over that information. But when Judge Bev came back, she said the defense and the defense counsel may have severe consequences for this. So Hank Brennan, when she comes back, Hank Brennan stands up and said this was actually not the federal government that handed me the documents, which he had said at first. I forgot that part. It was actually the defense. So they had done nothing really wrong. But what happens around that same time is that even though the Supreme Court justices held up Judge Beverly Cannoni's decision to not dismiss any of those charges, the defense around that same time had filed with the federal court, which can have a completely different outlook on it and decision. And from what I understand from watching all my law tubers, she's got a better chance in federal court than with the state Supreme Justices. So I think the reason that Judge Beverly Cannoni was shaking, like literally shaking when she came back, was that once the feds have control over that case, everything that she could have done that's corrupt is exposed. Like they've been watching everything. Michael Morrissey, the DA in Norfolk County, the judge, all of those people. And what I remember mentally noting, like, the walkie-talkies for the court officers were going off pretty loud. And apparently, some of those court officers got called to the Moakley building that day because of being court officers for Judge Bev, and I'm sure she noticed it too. So she must have got an email or something to that effect that told her that the feds have this now. And her wanting to exclude the ARCA experts or going ahead with what Hank Brennan said is like taking away everything that the federal investigation has done. So maybe they just kind of hit their point. I don't know. They've been laying very low, but I think they're laying very low because there's such a high level of corruption with this whole situation. I don't know.
Seems like, follow it from a little bit of a distance. This gal, it seems like they're all a bunch of spoiled alcoholics. To me, it's entitled spoiled alcoholics. And
Wait,
Powerful.
why are you picking on alcoholics here?
is alcoholism good, Cliff? Just other than surprise children, give me one good thing that comes out of alcohol.
Maybe some good karaoke every now and then,
Cliff?
or bad.
Cliff, he's the teacher in the room. Cliff, surprise children are nice. Give me one good thing that comes out of alcohol.
They are.
They are nice.
Not initially.
For your answer.
Alcohol,
No, what, I know what it is.
yeah.
I only see it causing trouble in many families that I know.
Yeah.
But I want to know what good comes out of alcohol, other than surprise children.
Alcohol, sometimes in
Moderation.
moderation, is a good social lubricant.
No, it was alcoholism is the word you hung me on. So alcoholism, how is that good? Where is it good?
Right. No, I can see John's point. Like, everybody in that situation was drinking excessively and driving.
And they were entitled to do it.
And especially the younger kids that weren't even of age. And it just, I mean, and it was like no big deal. But when they look at it, and from the sounds of all of it, it sounds like the juror, I mean, they got caught up on manslaughter when Aiden Carney Turtleboy did that interview with Ronnie the juror. It sounds like the jury got caught up on the manslaughter because of the DUI, but forgetting that everybody else was drinking and driving in that situation, and nobody was held accountable for any of it. They all skated, and the state's taking their word for all of it. So I can see John's point. I mean, you don't get to that point of power and substance and feel like your word needs to be taken without taking some kind of a substance to kind of allude you to that. I mean, I think tell me about your drink of choice and how frequently you do it. Once a month, once a week? You and Martha's date night? What?
Twice a year?
Twice a year. There you go.
Twice a year I'll go downtown and buy a beer.
One beer? I thought you drank whiskey for some reason.
I drank with what?
You drank like a certain type of whiskey or something. I thought.
Let's see. I drink malt scotch, or have. I've drunk wine.
Malt scotch. I
Yeah.
think that's what I remember. But now that I think of it, so there was this place, the restaurant in Tennessee was called Southern Comfort, and I ordered a honey jack just on ice for my throat. And I swear that's what, and Anthony says to me, Mom, how's that going to help you? I'm like, because before there were antibiotics or anything else, there was this. There was alcohol. But I really think that even helped me turn the corner, honestly. I mean, it soothes everything.
Yeah. So, just for the record, I find alcoholism to be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially with that crew of people.
Okay, so look, I got like a half dozen texts. You asked about Winterfest. Do you want to keep talking about Karen Reed, or do you want to do the text?
It's a text.
What a shocker. The Norfolk County DA's office is corrupt. Welcome to Massachusetts. Where have you been?
Yeah.
A real good hangover. Cliff, just a reminder. Trump told us that if elected, the price of gas and groceries would come down in one day. I did some grocery shopping yesterday. Actually, it appears to me more expensive than last month.
Yeah. I've
There
heard
were
that.
more. What happened to the rest of them?
A part of me thinks that,
Oh, good morning. A question for Eileen. How's the book going?
lateral thinking.
How's it coming?
I am still on page 1.
Okay.
I need to get through it. I need time to just concentrate and get hunker down. And I plan to do that today because I have to take Anthony to Chestnut Hill area. He's going to hang out with one of his friends for his birthday. So my plan is to hang out in the Barnes and Noble and get through it with some coffee. So I'm stimulated enough to get through it.
Next text, it's about time that an all-star game was exciting. The NHL should take a bow for finally having an entertaining game. I heard there were a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, those are all the texts, and I can go over Winterfest off of, I couldn't find anything in the Sun about Winterfest.
Nothing. Usually they have like
Huh?
a directory. Usually when it says St. Anne's, like if something's at St. Anne's, you usually know it's back there.
Well, Markley, I think it's pretty cool. The city got Markley to be a sponsor. That's the Cloud, the old Prince Macaroni Company. Pretty cool how they're engaging. Parking notice, that's the way they want you to park. This is all on Facebook, so you go to Lowell Winterfest on Facebook and you can scroll through this stuff. And there was one here that had a lot of stuff on it. This one. Come on, blow up there, baby. Okay. And Friday, Jesse Aliza at the Fuse Bistro. That's in downtown. That's on
Yeah.
downtown Lowell.
They have great tomato soup, by the way.
African Roots Band of Boston at the Shahil Restaurant. Two-Bit Brass at Pinella. Looks to be, maybe they're going to be inside or outside. I don't know. Crowd Feeder, North Star of the Wanderer, Hobo Wizard, and Bearded Giant at the Worthen Attic. That definitely is inside. I've been to the Worthen Attic. I had a book, my brother-in-law wrote a book, and that's where he had the unveiling. Nice
Ah.
place. John Farello at the Athenian Corner.
That name sounds familiar, John Farello.
And then ODB Project at the Keep. That's way up this way.
The Keep.
The Keep, that's across from Towers News, the dirty bookstore.
Okay, the old Ricardo's.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Exactly. Scrolling this up a little. Tasty spot, too. I went down there a couple of times. Then on Saturday, we have Justin Jabba Martin at Koto Asian Fusion. Winter Brothers at Fuse Bistro. Fishmack Stew, Watello and Gummins at the Worthen Attic. African Roots Band of Boston at Shahil. And Greek and Middle Eastern music with Belly Dancer at the Athenian Corner.
I just sent you something on Facebook Messenger, John, that gives a little more overall detail about some of the events.
And the last one, Joyride at Cobblestones. Let me pick up your message. Come on, baby, open up. There it is. Oh, it's not going to make me put my code in. Oh, it's doing it. Okay.
It seems like there's stuff at the Masonic Temple, which makes me think it's like back to where it usually is.
All right, I got to pump this up in size. Scroll this guy over with. That's as big as I can make it, baby. So we're going to go scroll it over here. Okay, so Friday. Walk over to your TV set and look at all this good stuff. That's today. Starting at 6:15 p.m. Oh, Paul Boulay said he was coming back. He was coming back special. He was on a cruise or down in Florida. He was a nice warm spot. I said, Paul, stay another week. He said, no, we got our fans counting on us. So Paul Boulay and the gang, the fundraiser's good, guys. 6:15 at the Enterprise Bank Music Tent. That's at 6:15 tonight. Then 7:30, the Cousin Auntie's Ghost.
That's an interesting name.
And 8:45, Tea in the Gents. Enterprise Bank Art Tent is at 222 Merrimack Street. Experience Lowell Arts. That's from 6 to 9. Good stuff. So if you want to walk around downtown, not going to be a super cold night.
Can we check out the soup bowl competition? That's my favorite. And it's Saturday, I believe, right?
Yeah, you're away from microphone.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
The arts market. I thought it was soup bowl. Oh, go right there. 12 to 2:20 p.m.
The Chocolate Festival Soup Bowl competition. There it is, right here. At the Masonic Center. That's across the street from City Hall and the police department on Arcane Drive. The Arcane Drive, you go over by Cobblestones, and you walk down the street a little bit towards the new high school, and the Masonic Center's on the left-hand side, gigantic building inside there. And the Soup Bowl competition's going to be in there. The address is 79 Dutton Street, and it's going to be going on from noon to 2:30 tomorrow. And that's Saturday. And then Derby Park on Middle Street. They have, where's the chocolate? Oh, St. Anne's Episcopal Church. 8 Kirk Street for you chocolate lovers. 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So that's a lot of good stuff happening. Now, where did you get this link, kiddo?
I just went to Google and I hit Lowell Winterfest 2025, and it was the first one that came up.
Beautiful.
Honestly, but it's you can find it under www.lowellwinterfest.com.
LowellWinterfest.com. Okay. Cool. Cliff, we had enough of Winterfest? You want me to keep going?
I've had enough.
Okay. Back to you.
I wanted to talk about the third senator from Maryland, Ed Markey. Remember when...
Cliff should have a red tie. He's a Democrat. Friendly reminder.
I'm sorry.
All
You're right. Ed
all
Markey
Democrats-
should have a red tie because he's a Democrat.
All Democrats are bad, according to the Republicans. The Republicans, when Democrats, all Republicans are bad.
John?
Cliff, listening to you. I'll shut up.
Just burning time. So anyway, Trump 4 years ago asked his supporters to peacefully and patriotically march to the Capitol. And now we have Ed Markey earlier this week. Ed says he advocates for revolution while standing outside in snow-covered Boston at a site steeped in revolutionary history. I mean, what does Ed Markey think revolution's about? Does he understand he's calling for the overthrow of the government? I mean, he's your son. Did you vote for him?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Well, John voted for him.
Hey, check this out. This is the best donut on the planet. This is the coconut-covered cream-filled donut, only available at Top Donut. Coconut-covered cream-filled.
I
Thank
didn't
you,
even
Eileen.
know it existed.
You are the best. Have you tried one yet?
No, I'm not a coconut person.
They serve them in heaven. Really? You get up there, St. Peter's got them right on the table.
I'm such like a texture person, like coconut is like fruit to me, right? So coconut and sweet doesn't go together.
I'll be quiet now as I consume this beautiful donut.
So how come no one's calling out Ed Markey for calling for revolution?
I don't know, because I don't think a lot of people know the true definition of revolution anymore because of the way that things may be have been taught. And like, I don't think like we've said, like, people are learning the right terminology, so he's talking to a generation that does not know the correct terminology. And
Well, that brings up Margaret Brennan
Margaret Brennan,
from Face the Nation.
is she related to Hank Brennan,
I have no
the special
idea.
prosecutor on the Karen Reed case?
Could be.
Margaret Brennan, okay.
Margaret Brennan is the senior foreign correspondent for CBS, and she took great umbrage at Vice President J.D. Vance going into Germany and talking about free speech. And Margaret Brennan confronts Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying, well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide, and he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views. Now, aside from the fact that he met with the head of all the political parties, she's blaming the Holocaust on free speech. Now, does that make any sense to anybody?
The Holocaust on free speech.
I mean, she's a college graduate.
I think the Holocaust took a long time for even America to realize the genocide of what was happening and to get involved, because it had to do with human rights and civil rights and just people losing their lives just for being who they are. And I think that it had not much to do with free speech. It had to do with knowing when to intervene with their allies and to make sure that part of our nation is safe.
Yeah, but, I mean, does anybody believe there was free speech in National Socialist Germany?
No, there couldn't
They were burning
be.
books in 1933.
So if it was the free speech for the Hitler and the Nazi Party, is that what she's talking about? Is that what she's referring to?
It's unclear to me.
Then it's not, I just don't think it's ever okay to take a life. I mean, I don't. I think life is precious, and I don't think anyone should dictate when you can take a life or not take a life or why you should take a life. I think that's...
In Germany, in 1943, Sophie Scholl was a member of the White Rose movement down in Munich, and she was passing out anti-war leaflets and was convicted of high treason for distributing these anti-war leaflets. And, you know, I understand. Woodrow Wilson put one of his presidential opponents in jail for being against the war. But Sophie Scholl, they guillotined her.
Definition of guillotine.
Your head is removed from your body in a swift and efficient way.
Decapitated.
Yeah.
When did it shift from guillotine to decapitated?
No, it went from decapitated to guillotined when some Frenchman invented the guillotine, and it became popular during the French Revolution.
It was done in a public square. It was super popular. Pickpockets would have a wonderful time.
Vincent and Yazzetti, who were put to lynching. Lynching is a hanging, right?
No, lynching is when someone outside the government, without a fair trial, hangs someone they think is guilty.
That's what happened, what they keep referring to with the Norfolk County DA's office, that it goes back to Vincent and Yannetti. That's not the right terminology. They were lynched when they were actually innocent.
Vanzetti?
But yeah,
I've heard that people argue that Vanzetti was innocent, but I'm not sure. I mean, what are the schools teaching? If we pulled out the random senior, would they think that free speech led to the Holocaust?
Well, if all this happens when the public stands by and lets it happen, you gotta call News Center 5 into the picture and say, why aren't you covering this? Gonna do 2 texts. I heard Ed Marculia avoids the north end because of the garlic. I have not heard that. What's Mr. Krieger's donut?
It's every week I go to Top Donut and I ask for a Bavarian cream donut for him. And every week they give me a Boston cream donut. And then when he goes home, Martha's already gone to Market Basket to get him a real Bavarian cream donut. That's what I think. So he's not let down too much.
So at the end of the day, Cliff, how many donuts are you gonna consume today?
No more than 2. So you can zoom in on my Boston cream.
Let me get rid of the graphics first. And we'll... Looks yummy.
One of the advantages of being in the Boston area,
Nice stuff.
the Boston cream. Nice, simple, and straightforward.
Yes, nothing complicated. But I am impressed, actually, last night, I went to Market Basket and I got, on Bridge Street anyway, I know they all kind of do something different, but last night I got a rice bowl with teriyaki chicken in it.
Oh.
I was impressed with that. My mother and I split it for dinner.
I had teriyaki chicken wings from Market Basket last night.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They are, like, Market Basket Kitchen does it right.
I thought they were good. So as we were discussing this issue about, another thing that Margaret Brennan seemed to pass over. When World War II broke out in Europe in September 1939, Germans went into Poland. They needed extra beds for the wounded, so they went into asylums, they went into nursing homes where people with serious disabilities were living, and they killed them, euthanized them. How's
And
that
where
for
was
a
this?
nice word?
In the United States?
No, in Germany.
Okay.
And no one picked up on this initially. They didn't make any announcements until pastors started noticing different parishioners losing relatives all for the same reason. And there was a complaint, and the government stopped.
When was this in Germany?
This was in late 1939. But they were using the principle of life unworthy of life.
Well, wasn't that the whole beginning, or same as the indoctrination of Hitler and his regime, is anybody who doesn't live up to what he believes is the correct race or Aryan race? Like, from what I understand, anybody with a disability would be killed also, or euthanized, or in maybe a different way than a concentration camp, because that was if you're not Jewish, right?
Yeah.
No, not
The Holocaust,
if you...
okay,
Yeah.
6 million Jews died.
And-
6 million other people also died. The Rami, for instance.
Okay, so
Gypsies?
what was the year of...
Coming up on 100 years ago.
But Holocaust, what would you say those official years were when those
Coming up on 100 years ago.
mass killings? But from what year to what year? I guess I'm asking specifically.
Well,
I'll ask Google.
the official organization started at the Wannsee Conference on 20 January 1942. But they were killing people before that.
And they were training the young minds
Yes.
even more before that, right? And so that sounds like it's in alignment, and like I feel like whoever that was who was euthanizing people who had disabilities or were different, or was in line with the whole Hitler regime.
1933, Holocaust started, and we're going to go to break. We'll be back.
33?
33.
who had disabilities or were different or was in line with the whole Hitler regime.
1933 Holocaust started. We're gonna go to break. We'll be back.
33?
33.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. I'm joined by Eileen Delrossi, my co-host, Eileen from the Lowell School Committee,
Good morning, everybody.
and of course our producer, John McDonough. So we were hoping to have Melanie Gilbert, but she has an emergency dental appointment at 8 o'clock, so she couldn't make it. Weather. Coming over, my car said it was 22. John says that there's a sinkhole here where he lives on 26 Highland was 19.
And, excuse me, this is Belvedere Village. It's Belvedere Village. It's 18 degrees in Belvedere Village.
Did I tell you it was a sinkhole? It's a sinkhole.
And we
Belvedere.
have, the flag is flapping in the wind out there. And this
It-
poor guy's walking his dog up the street. I'm going to guess they're
Is
both.
the flag at half staff or full staff?
That's all the way up.
John, if you run for city council, will you run on that to rename this area Belvedere Village?
No, it is. That's historic. It's Belvedere.
Oh, it is?
This is Belvedere Village, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
And notice the dead elephant that we have. Oh, I'll slide over so you can see the dead elephant. The city creates a dead elephant here. And they take all the snow and they put it here where it's just going to be a
Melt.
block for a long, long time. So, but at any rate, it's chilly outside, so you want to drive your kids to school. Don't let your wife walk to Frank and Ernie's to give her a ride. Back to you guys.
But warm weather's coming.
Yeah, all next week, it'll be the 30s and 40s.
So Eileen,
Yes, Cliff.
you went to Tennessee.
Yep, we did. We flew into Knoxville, Tennessee on Sunday after a long journey because Allegiant forgot to de-ice the plane out of Boston. But it was a great time. People down there are fabulous. There's something serene and beautiful about it. So much to do for kids, from mountain coasters to ropes courses, mini golf, laser tags. We went to Anakeister and Gatlinburg the first day, which you take a mountain chair all the way up, right? Which I was a little nervous about.
Let me zoom in on that
'Cause-
little puppy. Want me to look at that? All right, so let me go with, where is the control? Oh, right over, wrong hand. Get rid of the graphics. Come on, baby, go over to the left. There we go.
This was Anthony and I going up to the Anakeister down in Gatlinburg, and
That's pretty
Who
cool.
took the picture?
there's an honor. It says when you're coming up to the top of the mountain, it says "Smile for your picture." I mean, I took some pictures, but it wasn't as good as that. It didn't really define the
That's
mountains.
a beauty. That's a really nice picture.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
and then we got to the top of the mountain, and there's a bunch of shops, and there's a mountain coaster for the kids to go on where you control your own roller coaster, and Anthony was really excited to go on that.
And the kindness of the locals you spoke of before.
Yes, everybody was so sweet, so kind. Southern hospitality is definitely a real thing. People are just content there with what they have, and they're, you know, it's just not the city. Uber does not drive often around there, so I would recommend probably renting a car if I ever went again. Lots of black bears around. I was afraid of running into one, but we did not. But everybody from the shuttle drivers, from everyone we met was above and beyond kind. We got that vibe even on the plane heading down there. But yeah, one of the best things, one of the Uber drivers who had picked us up said is that, people down here, a lot of people have moved down there after just vacationing there because of the kindness of the people. I realized people from Virginia to Pennsylvania, and one of the ladies who gave us an Uber drive, she's like, people down here barely even have teeth, but they're the happiest people you'll ever meet in your life, and just will do whatever to make you happy. And yeah, so it was life changing, really, just to have that perspective. We also went to Pigeon Forge, and I know you were asking what we could do in Lowell. Even I think something cool at Winterfest, or even in the Folk Fest, was the gem mining. And so we went in, we bought in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, we bought a bucket of sand, and Anthony would scoop the sand out and put it into these trays and wash them off with water, and then it would reveal different stones, and then took them about maybe 25 minutes, and then after we had finished, we went and we learned all about the stones that he found. And then they were able to cut out the stone, so he had it gemmed. So we went back the next morning for it. So
Eileen, these gifts that you brought, okay, like this guy here,
yeah.
were these like all over the place, or?
Oh no, actually, it was a Trump store in Gatlinburg.
Oh, okay.
And I asked them how long have they been there? How long were they open? And they said that the day after. 2 days after the assassination attempt, they opened up there in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
I haven't had a chance to really scrutinize these yet, but I will later on, but thank you. Nice
Yep.
Trump
Look,
money.
See, John, you got the 10 because you're the only 10 I see from Tennessee. And Cliff got a 5 because he needs to continue working
Oh, okay.
to get to your
Back
level.
over you.
And he got a 2021.
I'm hoping for a 25. I hope that Trump puts
And
a
then
20.
I got Cliff this one too.
What is that one?
This one says, it's a picture of a gun, and it says, since we're redefining everything, let's call this a cordless hole puncher. I figured, I was like, this is right up their alley, so I wanted to get you guys a little something.
You're the best. Thank you.
And this one too, for this hour, the gas prices. Gasoline self-serve for regular, an arm, 9/10 of a gallon, plus is 9/10 of a gallon. You just have to give a leg. For 9/10 of Supreme, it's both arm and leg. And for diesel number 2, you just have to give up your kids. I'm donating that to this table.
Thanks, Eileen. So the weather was good. The flight was good.
Yeah, it was chilly. It was cold, and they actually got some snow, but it was nothing like the elements we get here with the nor'easter type weather.
One little text just came in challenging one of our earlier texters, and it says, the person who texted about Trump not lowering the cost yet, will they accept the Doge dividend if sent in the mail?
Absolutely.
I'll believe that when I see it.
And I'll accept any form of money in the mail.
I
Or
think,
if you just want to put it in my account.
now that we brought that up, the proposal was whatever savings, 80% goes to pay down the debt and 20% gets returned to the taxpayers. I'm for using it all to pay down the debt because as taxpayers, we eventually are going to have to pay down the debt.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that texter was talking about. I hadn't heard about that. So what's the story with that?
Well, they're finding all this money and savings, and someone suggested that we have a little sort of dividend for the taxpayers, and we give 80% to pay down the debt, which is what, $37 trillion, and that we give 20% back to the taxpayers.
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, when we were talking about the prices of gas and the prices of food, I feel like when this new administration came in, they started, and to be able to work with lowering the gas prices and food prices, it has to be more of an international level. And this administration is really working on figuring out what's gone on in the United States and what can be fixed first. And I feel like that may be a component to why we're not seeing any sudden drops in prices as we would like to see. But realizing each day and hearing about what's going on, I mean, and the taxpayers did vote for this, so I think that we have to pay attention to what's happened, what's right, what's not right, and if they can fix it, I mean, I say God bless them if they can fix it, but I think it's I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's slowly, layer by layer, I'm discovering what's gone on within this country over time that led to these prices going so high.
Yeah, we're peeling it back layer by layer. So,
There you go.
Winterfest, this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow?
Tonight, it starts at 6, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me go to Eileen's text, and we'll go over that. Right back on.
Okay. But it's the annual Winterfest. It's for adults and children. We've got soup contest. We've got a chocolate contest. No human dog sled races anymore, sadly. And
Hopefully they bring it back. Oh, which, by the way, last week, as we were driving towards the airport, I finally got to catch up on some local politics a little bit, and I saw an inside Lowell with Teddy Panos and Danielle McFadden. I didn't realize she was running for school committee for at large,
Yes.
I believe, right? So I think I reached out to her. Maybe we should reach out to her and ask her to come on to the show.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Get all the candidates on as soon as they surface.
She's the only one I really heard of for school committee so far.
Well, how about you? You're running, right?
Yes.
I don't wanna
have
put you
to
on the
officially
spot,
make
but-
that decision until when can we officially pull papers for it, right? Is it
I don't
May or
know.
June?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
But we'll get back to the school committee in a second. John, were you going to throw something up on the screen?
After I fixed the day,
Oh, okay.
we had Thursday up all morning.
So
I
on the
wonder-
Dawn Patrol, we talked about Margaret Brennan from CBS, who blamed the Holocaust in Germany on free speech. It makes me despair of what we're teaching our children. Do you think our children here in Lowell think that the Holocaust is a result of free speech?
I don't think our children in Lowell think about the Holocaust at all.
yeah.
Lowell Winterfest. This is the schedule. And today, it's starting at 6:15 p.m. tonight. The fundraisers, they're going to perform at the the Enterprise Bank Music Tent, 222 Merrimack Street. And there's a whole cavalcade of things happen. Starts at 6:15 and actually starts at 6. Experience the arts also at the Enterprise Bank downtown Lowell. There's a tent in front. And Derby, there's plenty of stuff going on tonight and ends after 10. So get down there, it's free, just walk in, you gotta pay for food, of course. And good time to be had by all, it's gonna be dry and warmer than it has been.
It's nice.
Let me just check my weather thing, see if it's gonna warm up. This is off my phone. And it's gonna be still below freezing, but 28, 25, somewhere, it'll be 25 degrees tonight for 6 o'clock for the start. Then tomorrow, more Winterfest stuff, so, and again, all free, at the Enterprise Bank tent. There's other stuff going on, just walk around, there's plenty of stuff to do, and come on down. Chocolate Festival, which is a sweet stop, is at 11 o'clock tomorrow, Saturday, at St. Anne's Episcopal Church. And the Soup Bowl competition, it's at the Masonic Center, 79 Dutton Street, starting at 12 o'clock tomorrow.
12 to 2:30, and then you can wash it down with some dessert from St. Anne's Chocolate Festival.
Yep, because that goes till 4.
I like that family quiet space. If your kids are too overstimulated, that's good.
Now, some inside stuff they have at the Paula Memorial Library. Cupcake Decorating Challenge, grades 5 through 12. Registration is required. So go on the internet and find out how to register for that. Taffeta. Don't know what that is. At 122 Western Avenue. Scotty Pope is going to be there. Merrimack Repertory Theater at 50 East Merrimack Street. Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill at 8 p.m. Koto at 76 Market Street. And again, I'm thinking this stuff is all free to get into because nothing's reflective about prices. And then on Saturday, 8 p.m., Divine Sweater is going to be at Taffeta at 122 Western Avenue. And that's it. And it says, check out Kids Week activities here and that. See what this says.
Oh, so it's already updated the April school vacation.
Yeah, this has gone by January, so. All right, that's going to be it, Cliff. Unless you want me to.
Okay.
I had some other stuff for Winterfest, but I think I'll go in here. Winterfest. I'll find it and come back to it.
So, my wife asked, we were discussing this issue of Margaret Brennan at home, and she said, shouldn't the students in high school have a course on problems of democracy as a way of helping them understand some of the issues of making democracy work, about political parties, about propaganda? What do you think?
Yes, and I know they have the debate team at Lowell High. I don't believe all students do the debate team. But I think the one way we could even measure that understanding would be from the civics MCAS testing. But I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to do an audit of how students are doing in terms of history in Lowell, at Lowell High.
We've been supposed to have been having an MCAS history test for years now, and the DESE people, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, have failed in their job to give us a history MCAS test, and now MCAS has been tossed out the back door.
By voter support.
Right. And wait, so is Trump trying to get rid of state departments of education or the federal Department of Education?
Federal Department of Education.
And only have the state part. I remember when I went to Vegas in, I believe it was 2022, and I met a gentleman from the UK, and he mentioned that they only have the states that run the Department of Education. So there's not the federal piece of it. Everything is run through the state, which I found was interesting. So I think they're looking at maybe that type of a model. I mean, especially with hearing about mishandling of funds, I mean, it gets disturbing, and to make sure, like, there needs to be checks and balances throughout, I think, and I think the kids are missing a lot. I mean, last week, I heard on the radio that somebody had wiretapped some mobster, like a mobster unit in, like, Chicago or something, and heard them complaining that this new generation of gangsters can't do the job. They have had to go tell them to watch The Godfather. because they still don't understand, right? And if I wasn't a teacher for as many years as I was, I probably wouldn't believe that, but I get that. Like, this iPad isn't going to kill you. Like,
Oh, that's a scary thought, but you mentioned all that money. The federal government's going to shut down on the 14th of March.
are you sure?
Well, I'm not sure, but if they don't pass a bill to fund the government, it will. We've been through this before. I mean, I've seen it so tight
What do you think will happen?
that I had the finance officer at the base that I was at show up with a briefcase and ask me to deliver it to an outlying site. It was Clear, Alaska. It was a ballistic missile early warning site because they got approval to pay the people so late. I had to fly the checks down to Clear, Alaska to pay the people.
Oh, wow.
So what happens is people get furloughed. They get told to stay home. Then they eventually, when the Congress actually passes the bills, then you get back pay. But Congress has to appropriate the money. That is, they have to vote for umpteen billion here and umpteen billion there, and then they have to pass an authorization to allow that money to be spent. So you have to have two bills, the authorization and the appropriation bill. And it has to be both houses, and they're still talking, can we do it in one bill, or are we going to have two bills? I think they're going to end up with a continuing resolution, but
What does the continuing resolution do?
the continuing resolution says you can continue spending money at the rate you've been spending it. So that no new programs, but still it's something. So the money, you mentioned the money. Lee Zeldin, who's just got appointed and confirmed as the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, said he found $20 billion had been moved to a bank account by the Biden administration to get it out of the government and moving towards other people. $20 billion in environmental protection funds, including $2 billion for a nonprofit headed by Stacey Abrams. A nonprofit had been set up in 2023. In 2024, it gets $2 billion.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think all nonprofits need to be more scrutinized. I mean, that's intense. That's, a lot. And it's like, why did her nonprofit get that funding? And what does it go towards? And what are the record keepings? Like, even for my little small committee to elect Eileen Delrossi, like, I have to put any donations received and what was spent, and I have to be accountable. Like, shouldn't that apply to everybody?
Yeah.
And why isn't it? Right? And it just doesn't add up.
Well, I think that's what Doge is finding out. And with regard to this $20 billion that they just moved to a bank account so that they could then move it further, what's this say?
Just on the internet, Doge uncovers 395 million active Social Security numbers. There are only 335 million people in the USA. How is this possible? Good point.
600 million. Oh, wow.
So
That explains, a lot. That's a lot of people.
I was talking to someone in the federal government yesterday, and I was told they've got 76 hours to get money into an official account, not just park it somewhere. So,
Where it'll be spent efficiently and effectively is.
yeah.
I was watching some of the. I'm not sure what the hearings, and they had the operation personnel, human resources and personnel operations manager, and she was being questioned by one of the Republicans about why nobody's going to work physically and how they're accounting of that. And how if you don't go in the private sector, if you don't go to a job, you don't show up and do what you're supposed to do, what happens? And the woman wouldn't say that, I'm not sure who it was. The woman would just keep saying, I don't understand your question. I don't understand your question. And the woman grilling her was kind of like, you'd get fired. People get fired when they don't show up to their job and are not accountable for what they're doing.
There's a flip side to this.
Yes.
I have a son who works in the federal government. He says he gets more work done at home than he does in the office.
So he says.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said, John. But your sarcasm and your implying that he's lying is offensive to me.
But I think your son.
I'm sorry, Cliff. I'm sorry you don't like the correction, but
It wasn't a correction.
it's a correction.
It was an ad hominem
If that's his,
attack.
it's his opinion. If his boss says,
I said
come into
that.
work, come into work.
I said that.
I get more done at home. I don't want to drive in. It's an hour drive. It's a 90-minute drive. Then quit.
But I would think people at your son's level have to be accountable for their work to the upper level people, right? Like, he has to be explaining what he's doing and be accountable for it. So the people who really aren't working are looking like they're working because of your son getting more work done at home. Right? Do you ever
Right.
think of it like that? Like, because
Oh, but by the way, when he told me this about being more effective at home than at work, he was driving home from work. He had been in the office.
in traffic or something. Okay.
Yeah, he was in traffic.
But I mean, people are higher level things. Like, I mean, I'm very small level of where I'm at on political spectrum in Lowell, but I'm accountable for what I receive, what I pay out, and even on that level. So other people look good, like they're keeping people like me in check, probably like your son, and making sure that he's doing things because they have to show some type of work is being done. So, like, I mean, and if I went to work and I didn't produce testing reports, test kids, testing reports, individual education plans, then what's the point of me going to work, right? You have to have receipts for what you do. And I think the people who are higher up are getting credit for people who are on the lower spectrum of the, like, boots on the ground, or the people in the front lines of working, because we don't get any of that automatic street credit, right? Or like, you're so official, we don't need to question you.
I got a couple of texts I'm going to read off.
All right?
Every rock they turn over, another creature appears. Keep draining the swamp. Will Trump succeed in cutting military spending, or will the military-industrial complex be able to stonewall? There's a ton of cash at stake here. Good point. Back to you guys.
I don't think that he'll be reducing military spending, although the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has asked each of the services to find 8% savings so that money could be redirected for other purposes. So they're trying to do something. Plus, DOGE is eventually going to go for DOD, which for 7 years has not been able to finish completely an audit, which is a terrible thing.
Well, a Massachusetts legislature, Channel 4, 5, and 7 have decided, we're not going to report on the Democratic situation in Massachusetts. What happened to the audit in Massachusetts?
Yeah, Diana DiZoglio is still fighting for that.
It's off the radar.
Legislations keep pushing
Well,
back.
we need to invite Diana DiZoglio to come back on and give us an update.
No, Channel 5 needs to get up off their butt and do the right thing. That's what needs to happen. That's the only thing. Boston legislature is not afraid of public access TV, Facebook. They just ignore it. But if it's on News Center 5,
Yeah.
they'll go bananas.
It's quite interesting because even, I mean, if you look at the independent media exposing even people on News Center 5, working on News Center 5, I mean, it's quite interesting to see where it's all looped together and the fraud, like how
4,
it,
5, 7, they all seem to read the same script. They're going to read this text. Apparently, there are more than 16 million in America, 60 million people in America that are over the age of 110. I want what they're drinking. Good point.
so is that 60 million, 395 minus 335, that's 60 million?
16 million, well, and they're not getting checks. They're just still in the system. And what happens is, just to let people know from my end, okay? For the last 10 years, as soon as your funeral director files your death certificate, it instantly tells Social Security, and Social Security instantly stops your check from going to you, because you're dead, and they instantly apply it to your spouse to get the higher, whatever the higher wage is. If your spouse gets more money than you, your spouse will continue to get the same dough. One time it'll get bumped up by $255, and some people think, wow, look at my new check. No, that's just a one-time thing. And if you get less than your spouse when you die, when your spouse dies, you get the bumped up amount. And it seems huge the first time because you get the extra $255, but you're going to get what your spouse gets. That's what happens electronically. Social Security doesn't do a doggone thing. The computers handle everything. That's the reality for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's disturbing to think, but you would also think that as disturbing as this is, it would open up a lot of job opportunities to help clear this up within the federal government, within our social security system, and to put checks and balances back into place to learn from past error.
Well, there's no in government, there's little or no reward for excellence. If you finish your work early, they'll give you Patty's work because Patty doesn't work. Patty doesn't do her job, so here, help Patty catch up today, will you? I use Patty because it's a generic term. It can be a man or a woman. When you look at all the government waste uncovered at the federal level, now you know why they don't want an audit at the State House. Good point. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay. So I wanted to switch gears for a second. In Gaza on Thursday, the caskets of 4 people, Oded Lifshitz, Siri Bibas, Ariel Bibas, age 5, and Kafir Bibas, age 1, were paraded across the stage with Hamas terrorists to cheering Gazan civilians surrounded by terrorist propaganda, which is, aside from the fact that the casket that was supposed to be Shiri Bibas turned out not to be the mother, and they don't know who she is. They're working on it.
So they brought these young children around? Like,
These 2 dead children in coffins, brought them, publicly displayed them, which is a violation of the law of armed conflict, the Geneva Convention, not that Hamas cares. But I think that Hamas is getting a bad reputation. I mean, except for Columbia University students and Harvard students and Yale students, other places. The Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia said, "What we saw today in Gaza is a disgrace to Islam and an act of blasphemy against Allah." And then from Dubai, The Grand Mufti of Dubai, Ahmed al-Haddad, reportedly stated after the scenes, Hamas has brought shame to Islam on the level never seen before. So Hamas is supposedly going to release 6 live people on the weekend. I don't know. But I don't think things are going well in Gaza.
Where is United States threatening to buy
That's Gaza,
the
yeah.
Gaza Strip?
I think that's a negotiating tactic on the part of President Trump to try and get people in the area to come up with a new idea, because what we've been trying for the last 10 years isn't working. I actually think that the president trying to bring Saudi Arabia to help in the Ukraine negotiations, Mohammed bin Sultan, MBS, yeah, well, except it wasn't Syria.
This is from just a video of them bringing these bodies back to Israel. And I don't understand, why do all the Hamas guys still wear these masks over their face?
Because they're terrorists. They're hiding their identity.
A pallbearer. Let me get to the end here. Okay, I'm moving up this. So they take them out of these cars. Boy, there's a lot of faces in this. Now they got these blinders up. I don't know. Here they are carrying the caskets. And I just looked at the masks on their face when I saw this yesterday, and I go, what's with the masks?
It's always been that way.
So I think they had 4 of these coffins, caskets,
Yeah.
and this was the episode from yesterday. And the Israelis checked the DNA and realized that they brought the wrong body. 3 of the caskets are okay. 1 of them is not.
How would you pronounce Shiri? Shiri? Shiri?
I don't.
Cherie.
Shiri. Yeah.
It's a singer, Cherie.
Cherie.
Okay.
Cherie.
Just, so anyway, the Ukraine bringing MBS in, who, as we recall, Joe Biden wanted to make a pariah. I mean, you've got this big tension in the Middle East, and the 2 big poles are Iran and Saudi Arabia. Iran is the one who's funding terrorist activities in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. And Saudi Arabia is trying to bring modernization and stability. So President Biden, Anthony Blinken, and Jake Sullivan worked to alienate Saudi Arabia and support Iran, which is never made any sense to me. So I think President Trump's trying to bring Mohammed bin Sultan in on peace in Ukraine, elevate his position, and thus make him someone who might be able to broker some peace in Gaza and Israel. I think he's thinking a little deeper than the average columnist in the local newspaper.
So if the DNA does not match those children,
Yeah?
then what would it be?
I don't know. What's it say, John?
They might not be getting checks. They might not be getting checks right now, but how many of these people are getting ballots to vote? Good point. I'm talking about the over number of Social Security owners. So what do you? you gotta go, when you have an unidentified, you have to employ DNA to fix it. So, if this happened in Massachusetts, would be in touch with the medical examiner would come, or we would deliver the remains to the medical examiner's office. They'd pull DNA, send it off for analysis, try to find a DNA match, and if you're never in the system, they're never gonna be able to identify that person. And the reports I heard on Al Jazeera this morning was there were several different body parts in the casket, seemingly not to belong to the same body. And it came from a crushed building that the Israelis blew up. So in the rubble is this poor person's body. And sadly, I don't think it's ever going to get retrieved, because if you can use your imagination of a blown up building, as we've seen in Gaza, and they pull human remains out like 9/11. It's gross to think about it, but minuscule body parts, maybe the end of your finger, it's gross. It's gross, time consuming, and to think, okay, I found his finger, you're not going to find anything else.
So Al Jazeera said crushed in a building.
Yes.
What did the Jerusalem Post say?
What did Martha tell you about the Jerusalem Post? I don't read that.
Martha hasn't said anything to me about the Jerusalem Post.
Well,
She
I don't
reads
read-
the
I don't-
Daily Mail.
I don't read the Jerusalem Post.
But
What,
sources out of Israel are saying that at least the kids were just executed. They weren't crushed to death in some Israeli attack on a building.
None of that sounds
So
good.
I'm not sure Al Jazeera is a totally reliable source.
my son John put into my ear, Jack, put into my ear yesterday, Dad, you can't believe everything you read anymore, anywhere. Sad, but he's right.
I think what you have to do is check several sources and try and decide which one makes the most sense.
But again, it goes back to what he says, what you're reading is often not truthful. Good
Yeah.
question for Melanie next week.
So speaking of the Gaza thing, and why I'm sorry, one of the reasons I'm sorry Melanie's not here, is the Lowell Sun had a editorial, not a column, but an editorial excoriating Donald Trump about his plan for Gaza, the Riviera of Gaza. And they went through the whole column, the whole length of the page, but they had no solution themselves. They just didn't like Donald Trump's solution. You know, they're just,
Well, there are a lot of people out there
Ridiculous.
just have it for Trump, and I just tell them, look at 11 months and 3 years to go. That's all.
so,
The guy hasn't been in office. The guy's been in office for a month. A lot of hatred out there and sore losers. Can you imagine if our local election was this bad? Sore losers said, I don't accept that this person won the race. He's not my counselor. What kind of baloney is that? Two texts here. President Trump says Ukraine started the war and calls for peace talks without involving them. More evidence that Trump's a Putin puppet. Interesting. They cover their faces just like the lefty protesters around the globe because they are chicken to bleep to be identified. Interesting. Thank you for your comments.
don't want to be identified. So Trump's being accused of The Hill, another publication, normally pretty reliable, put out Trump's idea of competence is only white men need apply. So do we think Kash Patel is a Caucasian?
Well, I don't think Trump said that.
No, the Hill said that about Trump,
Oh.
passing over the fact that he's got, what, 3, 4, the AG's a woman. The Secretary of State's a Cuban American. He's got a woman running education. There's a black man at HUD.
This is Kash Patel.
Yeah. Just confirmed as director of the FBI. I expect he'll be sworn in today.
Who else you want me to look up?
Education. Director of Education. Is that her?
Secretary of Education.
Secretary of Education.
Secretary of Education?
Yeah.
Trump's chief of staff is a woman. The DNI is a woman, and
She's a
she's a
white chick.
minority.
She's white.
Linda McMahon.
Caucasian, yeah.
She's Caucasian, not
Yeah.
white?
No. This is white. This is Caucasian.
Well, you know what?
That's
no, I
albino.
don't. Tell me.
I don't care. I'm white.
I don't care that you don't care.
Good. Continue.
So,
Silly, silly. I'm white. No, you're Caucasian. Look, I said I'm white. Turn the
Okay.
page.
You can be whatever you want to be.
Thank you.
So,
Give me my pronouns back.
so NASA says there's a city killer asteroid out there with a 3.1% chance of hitting Earth. And so someone came up with a little limerick, which I thought was kind of cute. It's Elon this and Elon that, and chuck 'em out, the cad. But it's Elon please a rocket when the rocks are looking bad. When the rocks are looking bad, my boys, the rocks are looking bad. Oh, it's save us, Mr. Elon, when the rocks are looking bad. Now, that's a ripoff of Rudyard Kipling and his poem on Tommy Atkins, but I think that's sort of the way things go. Elon Musk is terrible until we need him. Like they're going to need him to bring those 2 astronauts back from space.
In March, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just thinking, I can't believe how quickly this year is already going. It's already the end of February.
One more
March-
week to go.
Next week, right?
Yep.
And when, is it March 3rd is they're scheduled to bring the astronauts back? They've been up there an extra
6 months or
6
so.
months?
I'm not sure it's the 3rd, but I think so. So Eric Swalwell, a U.S. congressman from California, on 17 February said after the airplane crashes, he says, no president has had more plane crashes in their first month in office than Donald Trump. I mean, where did he get that? Did Fang Fang send him a text message and tell him that? Fang Fang?
I don't even know what Fang Fang is.
Do you got a picture of Fang Fang?
What's Fang Fang?
I'm still looking for when the astronauts are coming back. I'll go to Fang Fang.
Fang Fang was a Chinese communist spy who was Eric Swalwell's paramour for a couple of years.
Did you know him?
Did what?
Did you know Fang Fang?
I didn't know Fang Fang. But-
Sounds like you're fond of Fang Fang.
Fang Fang.
Fang Fang's a woman.
Yeah.
She's a looker. Pretty woman.
Yeah. So
What did she do, Fang Fang?
she was an espionage agent for the Chinese Communist government. It was sleeping with Eric Swalwell.
She's the Chinese Jane Bond.
Ah.
So,
I do think Kamala Harris is planning on running for California governor. She's lightened her hair even more. Did you notice?
No.
Oh.
I haven't seen Camilla. Where have you seen her?
I saw a picture of her somewhere up in New York. That,
Maybe she's just trying to like rekindle her relationship with her husband after years of being the second woman in charge.
you think so?
The first lady in charge, actually.
Well,
Maybe she's just trying to not be so serious.
If
oh,
she could just get off the word salad and make, I know some people can understand exactly what she's saying, but I can't follow her.
so, but she does have a potential opponent, Republican Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco announced on Monday that he'll be running for governor in 2026.
Okay, we got 9 minutes to go here, and the latest text says, it is ironic that people who hate Musk drive Teslas.
Not all of them. Carol, who's Cheryl Crow, sold her Tesla.
Did she?
Yeah.
My wife has no emotion for Trump, and she drives a Tesla, so.
So anyway, we have a contest being set up in California for governor. It
Will there be one in Massachusetts for the governor we have?
I don't think for the governor we have right now, but Norfolk County DA is their elections are coming up soon.
They're gonna hope they're not in jail.
In
If the federal
Canton,
authorities take that over, that's gonna be a real cool one to watch.
I mean, as seeing how many times this case and this poor girl's life on the line has been smacked around and the Commonwealth using their power, I hope that they truly do.
Using their power is, you put it right. The Ukraine-Russian war was started in 2014 by the United States and NATO. It's pretty simple. Russia doesn't want NATO missiles on its border, the same way we wouldn't want Russian missiles on our Mexican border. Very well put, and you can toss Cuba in there. We almost went to war because the Russians were sending missiles to Cuba, and thank God for Fidel Castro. He told the Cubans to take your missiles back home.
so Eileen, have you been following this group that killed the border agent up in Vermont?
What's the name of the group?
I think it's Zing Zing. They're a bunch of murdering vegetarians. They've killed
Zing
people all across the country. A bunch of them were arrested down in Maryland earlier this week.
It has something to say for vegetarians. I mean, why? I mean, eat some meat, eat a carb. Right? It may make you a little less angry. I know when I try to go carb free, nothing.
I enjoy my vegetables, but the vegetarians that are get a little rascally, I just tell them, look, when you plant vegetables to eat, you kill the little critters that are trying to eat those, don't you? Yeah, so you're taking life there.
Right? I mean, yeah, I mean, what was the group that the new United States District Attorney Leah Foley came on about Trejanos? Was it yesterday or the day before? International gang that
Yes.
killed many people.
Lynn
in
and Lawrence, yeah.
Lawrence, Essex County, and they're working on getting somebody who had flown back to Colombia, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. Come back because he was able to
Self-deport.
yeah.
I may have mentioned this before, but I love this line from Glenn Greenwald, who is a reporter. He said, as he prepares to put LGBTs into camps, according to MSDNC, Trump and the Senate GOP installed the first ever openly gay Secretary of Treasury in American history. Trump will likely be celebrating this by dancing with the original Village people. So, just another view on Trump. So, Did you see where Joe Biden signed with a talent agency in Hollywood for representation?
Of Alzheimer's?
I don't know. Creative Artists Agency.
Creative.
Yeah. So,
I wish Joe Biden health and happiness. Thank you for your excellence. You did the best you could. He's moved on. Comment from the audience. Likely the last one for today. It's incredible the amount of fire hydrants that are covered up with snow. Great show today. Thank you.
Thank you.
so Joe Biden did the best he could, but then what about all the people around him? Did they do the best they could, or should they have turned him in under the 25th Amendment and moved Kamala Harris up to president?
My mother taught me something. that
Good.
I always stuck in my head. And maybe your mother taught you something differently. You have to have some people that are in your inner circle who are like your mother, who will tell you that there's something stuck in your teeth, honey. You need to take a bath, honey. When you surround yourself with butt kissers, they just tell you what you want to hear. We make fun of one of these guys who was a part-timer, and he was a great apple polisher. And this is probably 30 years ago. We had brand spanking new floor in what's called the morgue. Beautiful, beautiful floor. So they were bringing equipment back in there, and my father, my late father, was helping them bring the equipment in. And his corner hit the floor, and they dragged this table in, putting a gouge in the floor. Brand spanking new floor. The best thing that happened was my father did it. And this apple polisher said, "Oh my God, that's the perfect touch." That's what he said. So there are apple polishers out there that will just tell you what you want to hear.
Yep.
Or he could be a glass half full guy instead of a glass half empty.
But I'd like to use Cliff's expertise as a wing commander. How did you get the real truth out of somebody?
Just listen to what they had to say.
Do you think they always told you the truth?
Yeah.
I find if you listen enough.
Great
that-
show today. Have a good weekend. That's what he says. So
Thank you. I think if you listen enough and let the other person talk more, then you can often find the truth somewhere.
Let them
in
talk
between.
themselves into it.
the best guy I ever seen to get the truth out of people was a guy by the name of, he was the city manager, John Cox. He'd close his office door. He'd say to all of the characters involved, "Tell me what happened. Nothing's being written down. Tell me what happened here. What happened?" And he'd point, "You, tell me what happened. Cliff, what happened?" And that's how he gleaned the truth out of people. He's great at that. I learned a lot just watching that lesson. You know, Cox got a good idea there.
His sister Colleen was my aunt. I got that. There was no escaping her, and she was my boss for a little bit at Life Care Center, and yeah, there was no escaping that look in their eyes either.
So, Eileen, the weekend, what do you have planned?
The weekend, just acclimating, getting back to home,
Going back to work on Monday.
going back to work on Monday, maybe getting some rock salt, which seems to be a hot commodity around here lately.
It is.
Yeah, taking Anthony up to Newton today to hang out with one of his friends for his birthday. I don't know, just take it slow.
I had a neighbor
shopping.
who went to New Hampshire to buy rock salt, and they dropped off a bag with us.
Well, that was nice.
It was very nice. By the way, a bus driver here in Lowell, I was trying to turn into the senior center, left turn across traffic, and he stopped. He was going to the senior center himself. He stopped and let me in. Very nice.
So,
When
on
I got out of
Mondays,
my car, I walked up and thanked him.
Because
Cliff-
it's school
Cliff's gonna be-
vacation week and they don't have kids.
you'll both be back on Monday, Cliff and Eileen. Phil, through Neckenberg. John Curtis is the guest that day. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching. See you at Winterfest, I hope.
Well, yeah, what day are you going down?